The WWE landscape just changed as multiple returns and some surprise winners have altered the storylines heading into WrestleMania in Las Vegas. We're going to talk about everything that happened at the Royal Rumble that you need to know coming up on this episode of Wrestle Digest. But before we get into it, we got to say that we're trying to get to 3,000 before WrestleMania, so if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure to down below, subscribe to the channel. We'll keep you up to date on the latest WWE news. But Darius, with that said, we got a lot to talk about, so let's jump right into it. First off, Jey Uso is officially going to main event the main event of WrestleMania. Main event Jey Uso in the main event of WrestleMania. It's just, it's cinema. It's cinema. And also, they go on to say here, he eliminated John Cena. Obviously, crazy. Nobody expected him to dethrone Cena in his first match back on the farewell tour, but it did happen. And then he revealed who he'd like to take on at WrestleMania. He said, I would like one more crack at Gunther. I really feel like I can beat Gunther. And I do like this. I think they can build up a great feud going up to WrestleMania. But, I mean, out of the two champions right now, Jey Uso and Cody are pretty tight. So it only makes sense for him to take on Gunther, Darius.
It only makes sense at this point, right? Like, he already faced Gunther, right? There's some background there. There's some storylines there. And obviously, to go back a second, John Cena giving, the rub a little bit last night to Jey Uso with the hug and all of that and kind of passing the torch. It's not my time right now. It's ironically with the theme song, but it is, Jey Uso's time and all of that. So whether you think it's a mistake or not, this is what is happening, right? And it kind of sets up a lot of things perfectly for the Elimination Chamber. And it has been confirmed this morning that Jey Uso will face Gunther at WrestleMania in one of the main events, and the Elimination Chamber will be for the WWE Undisputed Championship. So we do have that in place right now, which I think is very exciting. And again, there's some storylines there. For him to face Cody Rhodes wouldn't make sense, and it sets up a very interesting storyline that we don't know what's going to happen. They're really stretching this on this road to WrestleMania. Last year, we kind of already knew there was not really, like, there was a lot of play in between, but we kind of knew Cody Rhodes was going to end up there. But this is very interesting, and congrats to Jey Uso as well. Well-deserved, obviously super over right now. So very interesting, and we'll see where this storyline takes us.
Yeah, I'm definitely hyped. I mean, we got to give him one for the one time. Yeet! Let's go. Jey Uso in the main event of WrestleMania. Well-deserved. And I think this storyline is going to be better than what a lot of people think it's going to be. I think there's so much to dive into with Sami Zayn being the honorary use, him and Gunther having that big, long rivalry. It's going to be a lot of different angles that they can take here. Obviously, they can lean more into the Bloodline side. They can lean more into the Sami. There's so much they can lean into here. And I'm excited to see what direction they go with this. I think Gunther is one of the best workers in the entire business right now. And yes, maybe the shtick is getting a bit old at this point, but you can't fault it. He's been so good for so long, and I think this feud is only going to get better. But moving on here, we see Braun Breaker spear I show Speed in half last night. I mean, that was perfect. I mean, I love seeing Speed in the Royal Rumble. I mean, we seen Tozawa come out, and I was like, come on, this is a waste of a spot. And obviously, I Show Speed takes his place and comes out, and that was one of the meanest spears I've ever seen in my life, Darius.
There is so much to this spot to break down. And can I just say, like, a lot of people were saying this was the worst Royal Rumble. This was a great event. This was fantastic, top down. I had a lot of fun watching this, and moments like this, Triple H gets it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Vince, and I don't want to, start calling other people out and all this, but, like, I don't think Vince understood this and could ever get this to happen. This was hilarious. Kai Cenat was ringside as well, live streaming while this happened. And I mean, him coming out to the World Cup song that he wrote, like, it's just so ridiculous. I thought it was hilarious. Obviously the, overplayed spot at times with a guy getting injured and somebody else coming in and all that stuff. But, like, credit where credit is due to Speed for agreeing to do both of those spots where he gets thrown into the table and obviously speared by Braun Breaker. And Triple H said, he agreed to do it. Like, credit to him, right? But let me just say, there is no way, after seeing the impact of that spear, that Speed had any idea what he signed up for. Because this was we saw a man get hit by a truck in the middle of that ring yesterday. I mean, there's reactions, like I said, his personal crew was streaming it ringside. Kai Cenat was live. If you go back and watch some of those angles, not just the broadcast, he literally disappears when he gets speared. He gets speared in half. Like, it was brutal. He stopped streaming right after. He looked like he was legit in pain, but it was just a funny moment. Hope he's all right, but I mean, like for entertainment value, like that was worth every penny. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments in the Rumble last night. I mean, I was expecting Speed to come out and for him to just take the spear the way he did. Props to him, man, because that looked brutal last night. And we seen him. I seen a video this morning of him in a neck brace and having an interview backstage, and he said, "I'm calling out Dominik Mysterio, Rey Mysterio, Mark Henry."
Mark Henry.
Dude, it is so funny, dude. That guy is pure entertainment. I wouldn't be surprised he gets some training, and we might see him in a match eventually. That'd be so cool. But moving on to the next moment here, my favorite moment of the entire Royal Rumble, Alexa Bliss, Little Miss Bliss, is back in the WWE. We've waited so long for Alexa to make her return, showing up in the Fiend/Friend Forever jacket. So great to see Alexa Black. I was hoping that she was going to maybe make it longer into this match, but it didn't happen. Nonetheless, like Alexa Bliss is back, and probably on Friday nights with the Wide Six by the looks of it.
Yeah, and I mean, there's great storylines waiting for her there, and even great storylines in this match with her being eliminated by, obviously, former women's champion Liv Morgan. So that sets up a storyline there with them two, right? A lot of people are speculating about that right now. So there's so many possibilities with her coming back. And can I just say, again, like you said, your favorite moment of the night, definitely up there for me as well, because everything was perfect. The music hit. Not everyone knew it right away, that split second, but as soon as you see her name pop up, I mean, the pop was insane. Biggest pop of the night by far. And I mean, just a great moment, her coming back and the commentators letting the moment breathe. And then Michael Cole coming on and saying the first thing that he said was, I thought she wasn't coming back. So throwing shade there. I thought it was fantastic. So she still looked great in ring, right? So lots there. I think that they're gonna, uncover a lot there. She hasn't wrestled in 2 years, almost 2 full years. So very exciting stuff. And again, probably one of the best moments of the entire event, and definitely the biggest pop in a long time. Like the crowd, the roof blew off that place. That was insane.
Yeah, we didn't get her to see her do the fingers, though. That was the one thing that disappointed me, but she's back. We get to see lots of that coming up very soon, and one of my dream matches could potentially happen now in Tiffany Stratton versus Alexa Bliss. I think that match would be a banger, and it'll be interesting to see where they go with her now. I mean, the Wide 60 already have their 5 there with Nikki Cross, so we'll have to see what happens with Alexa Bliss. I'm excited to see where they go with her. But swiftly moving on here, we've seen Trish Stratus faction, fellow Canadian, come back at the Royal Rumble. We see her, in the Royal Rumble every now and then, but it's always great to see Trish back.
Yeah, she comes back, and I mean, like, it's been overplayed at times. Like, I feel like she comes back very frequently in the Royal Rumble, but it's fine. Nice little surprise, right? She came back with the old school, the OG ring attire as well, which was cool to see. So again, putting on some moves, and at her age as well, like continuing to come back every now and then. Her in-ring work is actually quite good. So it was nice to see her back, and again, fellow Canadian as well. So always nice to see that invested interest, obviously, but she looked great. And I love that, stuff like this happened in the women's Royal Rumble match, because last year in the men's and even this year, not too many surprises, not too many like crazy surprises. I feel like a lot of people expected Joe Hendry and stuff like that, right? But this was a nice surprise, and there was a couple in the women's Royal Rumble match, so nice to see her back as well.
I would say a lot more surprises in the women's Royal Rumble. I think women's wrestling, I've been saying it for a long time, needs to be pushed a lot more, and it kind of seems like they're getting that now with the mid-card titles. I think that the NXT women's roster right now is amazing, and I think all those women could be in the WWE right now. So women's wrestling is hot right now, and seeing these guys who paved the way like Trish Stratus come back every now and then, and Natalia we seen last night as well, I think that's great. And I think the women's division is as best as it's ever been right now, and I can't wait to see we're going to talk about in just a little bit Charlotte Flair, what's going to happen with her. But moving on, we see Nikki Bella come back. That was a another big surprise that happened in this match, one that I wasn't really suspecting. I was like, oh, number 30 AJ Lee, I was ready to light it up, but we got Nikki Bella come out, and I know a couple of my buddies made the joke last night, of course she had to come back for John Cena's farewell tour.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason she came back. Saw a lot of that online as well. That's all fun. But, there were very minor rumblings about this happening. A lot of people were like, I wonder if she ends up coming back. She's talked about it in the past, and it finally happened. I don't know if it's going to turn into a full-time run or even like, a part-time thing where she wrestles the rest of the year. Probably just a one-time thing. But I think it was cool, right? She still looked fine in ring. And I mean, like, The entrance, the pop, everything like that. It was a great moment. And again, like I mentioned, like so many more surprise moments in the women's Royal Rumble match, moments like this. And this is why you love wrestling, right? Like not just the in-ring and the storytelling and stuff, like moments like this, the returns like this is fantastic, and it gets you up off your feet. And it was nice to see her come back. Obviously, nostalgia at this point, right? She was in her prime, I guess, like 10 years ago, but still look great. Still look great in ring, and a lot of storylines there as well in the ring. But Nikki Bella coming back at the same time as John Cena. Very, very interesting, Casey.
Yeah, another one that paved the way for women's wrestling. So there's a lot of people that have dream matches with Nikki Bella versus ex-wrestler that can actually happen now. And I think it's just great to see her come back, especially now with the mid-card title involved. Maybe she'll help bring that up to another level. I could see that happening. I can't see her challenging for a top title right away, but like I said, I think having her back even at part-time is awesome, because I think she's such a great wrestler, and like you said, she looked good in the ring last night. But the big storyline coming out of the Women's Royal Rumble last night was a predictable one, which Triple H, if you watched the video earlier, said predictable is sometimes good, and I think it was. I mean, Charlotte Flair officially is going to face a champion of her choosing in the main event of WrestleMania. Something at the time last night I was very upset with. I said, Charlotte Flair, she's always had it kind of handed to her, because she was, one of those pillars of women's wrestling, and she comes back, she gets the main event of WrestleMania, or not the main event, but the women's match at WrestleMania for the title handed to her, was something that didn't really sit with me when you have all these, young up-and-comers, like a Roxanne Perez, like so many of these women that deserve this chance. Not saying Charlotte Flair is undeserving, but she's been there and done that when one of these women could have had that opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was the initial reaction for me as well. And I think a lot of people, where it's like, she shows up back out of nowhere, after injury, after, a year or whatever, how long it was, and she gets this spot immediately. There is that initial reaction. But if you, really think about it, I think it makes sense logically, right? Like, she's a great performer. She's probably the greatest of all time in the women's division. She's held the most championships, all that good stuff. And if she goes on to WrestleMania, I think there's really, really good storylines there, with some history with Rhea Ripley. Obviously, Tiffany Stratton is new, right? And really, they haven't had anything, in terms of storyline together. So I think that there's a new potential storyline there. So I think that there's definitely some interesting and intriguing stuff to be done with Charlotte Flair going into WrestleMania. And even, her winning, I think, is a great opportunity for somebody else to come up and challenge her for it, to thrust somebody else into the, the starlight as well, or the spotlight. So I think that there's a lot of really good opportunities here with Charlotte Flair winning. It's not the, you'd probably want somebody else to win, I guess, like an Alexa Bliss or, Liv Morgan or something like that. But, Liv Morgan's been in the spotlight for a long time this year. So probably time to give it to somebody else. Charlotte Flair's been gone for a while. One of the greatest of all time. It makes sense, but I feel like a lot of fans probably wanted something else that was a little bit more exciting.
It definitely makes sense. I mean, we've seen it before, kind of thing, and I think a lot of people have wanted to see this Tiffany versus Charlotte match, and I'm on board with that. I think that's going to be a great feud heading into WrestleMania. If that's the way to decide to go with it, they could go the Rhea side with it as well, kind of the Rhea being the most dominant woman in wrestling right now, going up against the former most dominant woman in wrestling. That could be a cool storyline to play out as well. It'll be interesting to see which way they go with that, and I'm not upset about it. I'm just, disappointed. I think it's going to play out great, and I think we're going to see a fantastic match out of this, but it could have been a little bit better. But hey, we got Jey Uso winning, so we can't complain. We can't complain about last night. And if we just go on, the one last thing we got to talk about was this Cody Rhodes KO match that I think kind of got overshadowed by a lot of stuff last night. This was a absolutely fantastic match. At one point, I thought we were going to see Sami Zayn turn last night on Cody Rhodes, when it kind of took a little bit too long for him to climb up to the top of the ladder. I thought we were going to see Randy Orton. I thought we were going to see Sami Zayn. We didn't really see much, and it was a great match nonetheless. I mean, Kevin Owens, he did that like brain buster on the ladder, hit his own head off the ladder. That was a scary moment of this match. And then obviously the winning moment of this match was the Alabama Slam through the ladder on top of the announce table. Great match. Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, respectfully, they both always put on fantastic matches, and this one didn't disappoint last night.
Absolutely. And I mean, sometimes when you look at the matches in pay-per-views or PLEs now, like the Royal Rumble, they're kind of filler. A lot of fans think they're filler and you kind of know the result already, but these guys put on a great show. And I was kind of like, how are they going to make this interesting? Although the storyline itself had me invested, they did a great job of building up to that. and the match itself delivered as well. They both took some ugly bumps in this match on the ladders. Rhodes taking a couple ugly ones. Obviously, this Alabama slam through the ladder, propped up between the ring and the announce table, was crazy. Great spot. And then Cody Rhodes going up to the top. A couple cool camera shots after this too of him holding the title and Kevin Owens on the floor. So lots to like in this match. I thought it was great. They put on a good show for, the fact that you kind of knew Cody Rhodes was going to win. And obviously, sometimes these matches in main events like this, or not main events, sorry, PLEs like this, can get maybe boring or predictable, all that stuff, and get lost in the shuffle of the Royal Rumbles. And I think that they actually stood out, which was a great thing. So credit to both of them. And they built up a really good story there.
Yeah, definitely. And it's going to be interesting to see now, like, with you said, the title going into the Elimination Chamber, this kind of gives the opportunity to WWE to take it from Cody Rhodes here and put it on to John Cena. So, it'll be interesting to see if that's the last Cody match we see him retain as a champion. But, nonetheless, great match. He always puts a great one on. And one thing we didn't mention here, Darius, I just want to briefly touch on while we see Charlotte Flair pull up on the screen, is AJ Styles coming back in the OG gear. I mean, come on. Yeah. That was fireworks last night. It's always great to see AJ back. I mean, this is a guy who for a long time I really did hate, but I really started appreciating him recently, and seeing him last night in the ring with all the GOATs that were in the ring was just awesome. And there were so many great moments last night. We want to hear your guys' favorite moments down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed this one, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be here all year long, keeping you up on the latest WWE content, and the road to WrestleMania is upon us, so you're not going to miss out on the latest theories, everything heading into WrestleMania. But as always, I've been your host, KC, alongside my co-host, Darius. We'll catch you in the next one.